So absolutely. For me, one of the big things that I love to do is I'm a big avid tennis player. So that's my outlet out. I'm probably on the tennis court probably 3, 4 times a week. And this year I've actually stepped it up a notch to the point where I've taken on even two coaches to work on my tennis game. So for me, I'm making sure that I'm leaving the office, especially in the summer when it's so nice out, heading to the tennis courts, playing with the tennis pros, playing in my leagues that I play in nearby me. And it's just really a great way to get out any sort of energy or frustration or whatever you're trying to get out of the system, just being able to hit, because I'm a very competitive person. So for me, I just love the ability of strategy. And actually, it's funny, I was reading an article recently, and they were saying how racket sports these days are so important, like tennis or pickleball or even badminton, anything that's with a racket increases your life by about 10 years because of what gets generated in the brain. So there's a part of the brain where you use like 10% of the brain that fosters that thought process. So when you're doing that, there's obviously different sports or different activities that are going to increase your life expectancy. But when I read this, I was like, oh, okay. And like tennis and or racket sport is up there in the numbers. So for me, that's what I like to do. That being said, it's a de-stressor, but sometimes you get frustrated on the court. So it's a double-edged sword in regards to that, because then you get frustrated with your own play. But at the same time, I follow with some of these trainers, professional trainers that are out there, and they always say anytime that you're playing a sport like a racket sport like tennis, when you're practicing, you're playing your best tennis. But then when you go into, let's say, match play, or you're playing against an actual tournament, or you're playing an actual game against someone competitively, you're not going to play as well. But the key is to always focus on the objective. And the objective is not to have the perfect point every single time. Because even a guy like Roger Federer said that he's only won just over 50% of all of his points that he's ever played in his life. That being said, he's won 80% of his matches. The key is really focusing on the goal at hand, which is winning most of the points. At least you're higher than lower, and focus on winning the actual game or winning the actual match, as opposed to focusing on the nitty gritty. So that's been a real eye opener in terms of thought process, because again, once you've played a point and you've lost the point, there's no turning back. There's no point in reflecting on, oh, I've lost that point. You've got to move forward and you've got to focus at the goal at hand. And again, that principle can be thought about in a variety of ways, not just in sport, but in business and in life. Things that happened in the past, leave it in the past, and then move things forward in regards to that. So I look at it as a great lesson. I find it's been helpful for me.